High Delegate Zixtal's crystalline form cast rainbow-like reflections across the polished floor of the Galactic Assembly as they rushed through the ancient halls. Their usually pristine surface was clouded with stress patterns, a clear sign of extreme agitation to anyone familiar with the crystalline species. Behind them, two junior delegates struggled to keep pace, their arms full of data crystals and emergency advisory reports. The emergency session chamber's massive doors, untouched for nearly 3 centuries, groaned open at Zixtal's approach. Inside, representatives from over 200 spacefaring civilizations turned their varied sensory organs toward the entrance. The chamber's perfect acoustics carried every click of Zixtal's crystal lattice as they approached the central podium. Honorable representatives, Zixtal's translator rendered their harmonic vibrations into standard galactic basic. I come before you with evidence of an impending catastrophe. They inserted a data crystal into the podium's interface. Above the assembly, a holographic display sprang to life, showing a blue-green planet that many dismissed with immediate disinterest. Earth, Zixtal announced, their crystalline form vibrating with intensity. A pre-FTL civilization that the Craxi Empire plans to invade within the next standard month. The Craxi representative, a towering insectoid in ceremonial battle armor, clicked their mandibles in amusement. Point of order, High Delegate. The internal military affairs of the Empire are not subject to Assembly oversight when dealing with pre-contact species. Dr. Amanda Turner's image appeared in the holographic display, her lab coat slightly singed as she excitedly explained something to her colleagues. The timestamp showed this was from just 3 local days ago. This human, Zixtal continued, just accidentally discovered principles of quantum manipulation that took the crystalline Concordat 4 centuries of focused research to achieve. She did it while trying to improve something called a microwave dinner. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Craxi representative's antenna twitched in irritation. Primitive lucky guesses do not change their status. They still launch chemical rockets and wage wars over hydrocarbons. Zixtal's surface rippled with color. 2 weeks ago, they also did this. The hologram shifted to show a test site in something called Nevada, where a team led by Lieutenant Ryan Cooper was testing what they called a sci-fi-inspired defense system. The assembly watched in silence as the device generated a localized field that perfectly matched theoretical models for counter-invasion technology that most species don't discover until centuries after achieving FTL travel. They built that, Zixtal emphasized, because of entertainment media. They've been imagining and preparing for alien contact, both peaceful and hostile. For over a century, their culture is saturated with thousands of scenarios for this exact situation. The Craxi representative's mandibles clattered dismissively. You waste the assembly's time with primitive entertainment products. Our invasion fleet will. They caught themselves too late. Ah. Zixtal's crystal matrix glowed with satisfaction. So you admit the invasion is already planned. The chamber erupted in overlapping translator signals as multiple species tried to speak at once. The Craxi representative raised all 4 arms for silence. The Empire has evaluated the human species and found them wanting. Their resources will better serve a civilized species. This is not a matter for assembly debate. Zixtal inserted a final data crystal. The hologram showed a human entertainment product called a movie. In it, humans fought back against an overwhelming alien force using methods so unorthodox that several delegates had to deactivate their logic processors. I have studied their history. Zixtal's voice carried an unmistakable note of warning. Humans are not like us. They don't follow predictable paths of technological or social development. They skip steps. They make intuitive leaps. They do things because, in their words, it would be cool. The assembly's universal translators struggled with that last concept. The Craxi Empire is about to attack a species that has spent generations imagining how to fight back against exactly this type of invasion. Humans don't just think outside the box. They don't even believe in the existence of the box. The chamber had grown very quiet. Even the Craxi representative's constant mandible clicking had ceased. This will not be a simple subjugation, Zixtal concluded. It will be a catastrophe. And when the dust settles, the galaxy will never be the same. The warning had been given. Now all they could do was watch. Colonel Michael Mad Dog Reynolds was enjoying his morning coffee when the world changed forever. On the break room TV, Argentina and Brazil were tied in the 89th minute of the World Cup final when the signal cut to static. His phone buzzed with the alert he'd been both dreading and anticipating for 20 years. Omega Protocol activated. About damn time, he muttered, setting down his I want to believe mug that his daughter had given him as a joke last Christmas. As he strode toward the Pentagon's underground command center, the first Craxi ships were already appearing in Earth's skies. The massive vessels emerged from FTL in a perfect formation, their chitinous hulls blocking out the sun over major cities worldwide. In Beijing, Tokyo, London, and New York, millions of phones pointed skyward, not in terror, but to capture humanity's first viral videos of alien life. Inside the Pentagon's newly christened Extraterrestrial Response Center, Reynolds watched as President Sarah Mitchell received the Craxi's first transmission. The alien commander's insectoid face filled screens worldwide as they began their prepared speech in perfect English. Citizens of Earth, your planet is now under the protection of the Craxi Empire. They're broadcasting in English, Reynolds interrupted, his face breaking into a wolfish grin. That means they've been studying us. Lieutenant Parker, activate case file X-ray 7. Lieutenant Jennifer Parker's fingers flew over her console. Sir, are you sure? That's the they've been watching us protocol. We designed that as a joke during last year's war games. Nothing we've ever designed was a joke, Lieutenant. Execute the protocol. Across the globe, humanity's response shocked the Craxi fleet. Instead of panic or submission, Earth's nations executed a previously rehearsed first contact protocol with disturbing efficiency. Military bases worldwide activated experimental weapon systems specifically designed for this scenario. Civilian internet infrastructure shifted to hardened backups, and social media platforms seamlessly transitioned to their alien invasion contingency modes. The Craxi commander's speech was cut short as Earth's own transmission override kicked in. On every screen, a pre-recorded message began playing in the Craxi's own language. Welcome to Earth. President Mitchell's voice was calm and measured. We see you've been studying us. That's interesting, because we've been preparing for you too. Not you specifically, but we've had a lot of practice imagining this moment. In orbit, the Craxi fleet's perfect formation faltered as their sensors detected something impossible. Electromagnetic signatures that exactly matched their ship's quantum communication frequencies. Frequencies that humans shouldn't even know existed. Sir, Parker called out, NORAD reports the Craxi fleet is responding exactly as predicted to the quantum bait. Dr. Turner's team says their theory was correct. The aliens really can't conceive of a species discovering advanced technology through random tinkering. Reynolds nodded, remembering all the times his alien invasion response unit had been the Pentagon's running joke. Now, as his teams activated defense systems based on everything from serious scientific research to late-night science fiction marathons, no one was laughing. The Craxi commander's second transmission was noticeably less confident. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to. They were cut off again, this time by what appeared to be a global montage of alien invasion movies, each showing humanity triumphant against impossible odds. The Psychological Warfare Division had voted unanimously to include Independence Day in the mix. Your cultural analysis is incomplete. President Mitchell's voice returned. You learned our languages but missed something critical. Humans have been rehearsing this moment in our fiction for generations. Every strategy you're about to try, we've already beaten it in our stories 100 times. In the command center, Reynolds watched as reports flooded in from around the world. The Indian Space Agency had successfully deployed their theoretical anti-FTL field. The European Union's quantum disruption grid was online, and in Australia, a civilian hacking collective had somehow already gained access to the Craxi fleet's entertainment networks. "Sir," Parker called out, fighting to keep a straight face, "the Australians are broadcasting something called cat videos to the alien fleet. Their AI systems are having trouble processing them." Reynolds allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Tell them to add some Baby Yoda memes to the mix. Let's show our new friends why Earth's culture is considered a mimetic hazard. The first battle for Earth wouldn't be fought with just weapons, but with everything that made humanity unique, including our ability to turn any situation, even an alien invasion, into content worth sharing." Major Jessica "Ghost" Williams crouched behind a destroyed Craxi scout vehicle, its chitinous hull still smoking from the unexpected encounter with a civilian monster truck rally. Her team's neural network jammers were working better than anyone had expected. The alien forces simply couldn't process the idea of humans using monster trucks as weapons. "Ghost Team, status report," she whispered into her quantum-encrypted comm unit, another accidental innovation from Dr. Turner's microwave experiments. "Ma'am, Operation Chaos is proceeding according to plan." Lieutenant Marcus "Joker" Rodriguez reported from his position inside a nearby Chuck E. Cheese. "The flash mob has the alien ground forces completely confused. They can't tell which dancers are civilians and which are special forces." Through her advanced optical system, Williams watched as 300 people, a mix of trained soldiers and civilian volunteers, performed a perfectly choreographed dance to stay alive around a Craxi combat unit. The alien's tactical eye was having a meltdown trying to determine if this was a threat or just another example of bizarre human behavior. "Copy that. Joker. Team 2, how's our decoy operation?" Sarah Mirage Thompson's voice crackled over the comm, barely containing her laughter. "The inflatable tank farm is driving them crazy, Major. They've wasted 3 hours of orbital bombardment on rubber decoys, and now they're scanning everything twice. The pool noodle artillery pieces are really selling it." Williams grinned as she watched another Craxi scanning beam pass over what appeared to be a massive artillery position, but was actually an art installation made of pool toys and clever holographic projectors. The aliens' rigid military doctrine had no protocol for dealing with an enemy that mixed real and fake targets so seamlessly. "Central Command, this is Ghost Lead," Williams radioed. "Phase 1 of Operation Chaos is complete. The enemy's battle computers are showing signs of logic failures. Request permission to initiate Phase 2. Colonel Reynolds' voice came back immediately. "Granted, Ghost Lead. Give hell." Williams signaled her team, and across the city, Operation Chaos shifted into high gear. Civilian drone enthusiasts launched thousands of mini-drones, each broadcasting different military signatures. Street artists began painting QR codes that crashed Craxi targeting systems. A group of kindergartners released their science project weather balloons, each carrying small devices that mimicked capital ship signatures. "Ma'am," Rodriguez called in, "you need to see this. The Chuck E. Cheese animatronic band is really freaking out the alien ground forces. They can't figure out if it's some kind of primitive robot army." "Add it to the list of things confusing their eye," Williams replied. "How's our social media campaign going?" Twitter is absolutely destroying their information analysis systems, Communications Officer Lisa Viral Chen reported. They're trying to process every tweet as potentially important military intelligence. The hashtag #ALNowAliens is trending, and their cultural analysis algorithms are having a breakdown trying to understand why humans are making jokes during an invasion. Williams watched as a Craxi combat walker stopped dead in its tracks, its crew distracted by a holographic advertisement for pizza. The aliens had no defense against humanity's greatest weapon, our ability to create absolute chaos. Ghost Team, initiate the final phase, Williams ordered. Release the flash mob dancing videos from the last 5 years. All of them. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Craxi Battle Network, already struggling to process human behavior patterns, was suddenly flooded with thousands of videos of humans engaging in synchronized dancing for no apparent military purpose. Their tactical AI crashed trying to find strategic significance in the Macarena. "Ma'am," Rodriguez called in, "the aliens are retreating from downtown, but some of them are trying to copy the dance moves first." Williams stood up from her cover, watching as confused Craxi troops attempted to moonwalk back to their dropships. Their rigid military training had never prepared them for an enemy that turned everything, even an alien invasion, into an opportunity for entertainment. Central Command, "This is Ghost Lead," she reported, unable to keep the pride out of her voice. Phase 2 complete. The enemy's combat eye has been thoroughly confused by human chaos theory. Request permission to deploy the TikTok challenges. The response from Colonel Reynolds was immediate. "God help us all." Permission granted. Lieutenant James "Cowboy" Cooper stared at the holographic display of the captured Craxi entertainment protocol, his eyes bloodshot from 48 hours of continuous analysis. Around him, in what used to be a Hollywood writer's room, an unlikely team of entertainment industry veterans and military specialists worked to weaponize human culture. "You're telling me," Sandra Martinez, a former Netflix executive, said while examining the data, "that these aliens have never created entertainment just for fun. Everything has to have a practical purpose." Cooper nodded, running his hands through his disheveled hair. "Their entertainment protocol is purely functional, designed to maintain mental stability during long space voyages. They've never even conceived of fiction as a concept. That's like never inventing ice cream," Kevin Walsh, a veteran video game designer, muttered from behind his fifth energy drink. "No wonder they're so uptight." The team had discovered the protocol during a routine cyber attack on a Craxi destroyer. What they found was revolutionary. The entire alien fleet shared a standardized entertainment network, mandatory for all personnel. It was their greatest weakness. "First batch of content is ready for upload," announced Dr. Rachel Thompson, their lead psychologist. "We're starting with simple sitcoms. Friends and The Office should break their minds gently before we hit them with reality TV." Cooper checked the upload progress on his terminal. Operation Trojan Horse was already showing results. 3 Craxi ships had broken formation after their crews became obsessed with finding out if Ross and Rachel would end up together. "Sir," Lieutenant Sarah Peterson called out, "you need to see this. The Craxi are attempting to analyze The Bachelor, as if it's a documentary about human mating rituals." The room erupted in laughter, but Cooper saw the strategic potential. Upload more reality shows. Let's really confuse their anthropological studies. Reports started flooding in from around the globe. A Craxi battle group over Tokyo had gone silent after discovering Anaheim. 3 destroyers near Rio de Janeiro were broadcasting nothing but telenovelas on all frequencies. A dreadnought commander was demanding to speak with someone called Baby Yoda. Phase 2, Cooper announced, bringing up the next stage of their plan. Time to introduce them to gaming. Walsh's team had prepared for this moment. They launched a custom-made game called Earth Defense Force onto the Craxi network. It was deliberately designed to be addictive, with one crucial feature. Players could only win by cooperating with humans. Ma'am, Peterson reported to Dr. Thompson, Craxi gaming participation has exceeded all projections. They're forming raid parties with human players. Cooper watched the monitors in amazement as enemy ships began breaking protocol to schedule their attacks around their gaming sessions. The Craxi High Command was losing control of their fleet to something they never expected. Fun. Time for the kill shot, Cooper declared. Upload the cat videos. Martinez's team had prepared a special compilation. Thousands of hours of cats being cats, doing things for no logical reason. The effect on the Craxi battle network was catastrophic. Their logical minds couldn't process why humans would devote so much time to recording these small predators engaging in non-hunting activities. Sir, Peterson called out. Fighting back laughter. The Craxi are. They're starting to make their own cat videos, using their ship's security cameras to film their support animals. The ultimate victory came 12 hours later. A Craxi battlecruiser broke radio silence to ask if anyone had more of those moving pictures of small Earth predators playing with empty boxes. Cooper smiled as he drafted his report to command. The Craxi had expected to face primitive weapons and simple defense systems. Instead, they were being defeated by sitcoms, video games, and cat videos. Their rigid, purpose-driven society had no defense against the simple human concept of entertainment for entertainment's sake. Send this to High Command, he told Peterson. Operation Trojan Horse is a success. The Craxi fleet is not just watching our content. They're beginning to create their own. Several ships are attempting to start what they call Space YouTube. In the background, the writer's room team cheered as another Craxi ship diverted from its attack route to binge-watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. The invasion wasn't just being stopped. It was being transformed into the galaxy's biggest Netflix party. Dr. Robert Bob Mitchell adjusted his slightly rumpled tie as he stood before the Galactic Assembly. Behind him, a holographic display showed a wolf playing with a tennis ball, while next to it, data streams displayed complex social evolution algorithms. The assembled alien diplomats watched in bewildered fascination. So you see, he continued, running a hand through his perpetually messy hair. Humans didn't domesticate wolves through careful genetic engineering or complex breeding programs. We just thought some of them looked friendly, and we share our food with them. Then we kept the ones that wagged their tails. The Assembly's translation matrix struggled to process this information. A delegate from the Silicon Consciousness raised an appendage. Clarification required. You altered the evolutionary path of a predator species based on, looked friendly, and wagged their tails. Bob added helpfully, taking a sip from his coffee mug, that read, anthropologists do it in the field. We're pretty big on tail wagging. Shows they're happy to see us. High Delegate Zixtel's crystalline form sparkled with what Bob had learned to recognize as amusement. They had become his strongest ally in these sessions, ever since he'd introduced them to the concept of dad jokes. But this pattern repeats throughout human history, Bob continued, changing the display to show a series of agricultural developments. We didn't develop most of our early technologies through careful planning. We just tried things to see what would happen. Sometimes we kept doing things because they were fun or pretty, or because someone said, wouldn't it be cool if? The Craxi representative, now significantly less authoritative, after their fleet's recent encounters with human culture, clicked their mandibles nervously. This is nonsense. No species can advance through such chaotic methods. Oh, really? Bob grinned, pulling up his next exhibit. Let's talk about how we discovered penicillin because someone forgot to clean their lab before going on vacation, or how we invented the microwave because someone noticed their chocolate bar melted near a radar set. The assembly chamber erupted in overlapping translation signals as multiple species tried to process this information. Bob waited patiently, taking another sip of coffee. The human equation, he continued once the chaos settled, isn't about logic or careful planning. It's about curiosity, adaptation, and sometimes just doing things because we think they're neat. Your scientists spend years carefully researching quantum mechanics. Our scientists sometimes make breakthrough discoveries while trying to make their TV dinners heat more evenly. He changed the display again, this time showing Dr. Amanda Turner's recent quantum manipulation discovery. Dr. Turner wasn't trying to revolutionize physics. She just wanted her microwave pizza to be the same temperature all the way through. The quantum breakthrough was an accident. Impossible. The Silicon Consciousness Delegate's lights flashed in agitation. You cannot advance through accidents. Actually, Bob said, pulling up another display, here's a pie chart of human scientific discoveries. The purple section, which is about 40%, represents breakthroughs we made by accident, usually while trying to do something completely different. The green section represents discoveries we made because someone said, "Hold my beer and watch this." The assembly's universal translators crashed trying to process that last phrase. And that's why the Craxi invasion failed, Bob concluded. They expected a primitive species that would follow logical patterns of resistance. Instead, they found a species that turned their military campaign into a reality TV show and defeated their battle AI with cat videos. He paused, then added with a smile, "By the way, has anyone noticed that 3 Craxi battle groups have started their own YouTube channels? They're getting pretty good at unboxing videos." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, High Delegate Zixtel spoke. "Dr. Mitchell, are you suggesting that humanity's greatest strength is its illogical approach to progress?" "Not illogical," Bob corrected, finishing his coffee. "We just understand that sometimes the best way forward is to try something wild and see what happens. After all, that's how we got dogs, pizza, and most of our best scientific discoveries." He looked around the chamber, at the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, and added, "Maybe the real question is, when was the last time any of you did something just because it might be fun?" General Emily Iron Anderson watched the latest intelligence footage from deep within Craxi space, her expression a mixture of amusement and disbelief. On the screen, a group of young Craxi were participating in something that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago: a food court flash mob. "Operation Culture Shock is exceeding all projections, Mom," Lieutenant Ryan Foster reported, trying to maintain his professional demeanor as they watched the insectoid aliens attempt to perfect the choreography to Uptown Funk. "Show me the latest numbers," Anderson ordered, taking a bite from something the intelligence report had identified as a Craxi attempt at pizza. It wasn't half bad, though the antenna garnish would take some getting used to. Foster brought up the data streams. Cultural contamination has reached 87% of all major Craxi population centers. Their youth are particularly susceptible. We're seeing the formation of what they're calling weekend clubs, groups that meet to engage in non-productive activities just for entertainment. Their authorities must be losing their minds, Anderson mused, watching another feed where a Craxi teen was trying to explain TikTok dances to their horrified parent. "That's just the beginning, Mom. Look at this." Foster pulled up another feed, this one from a Craxi military academy. The cadets were supposed to be studying battle formations, but instead they were having what appeared to be a breakdancing competition. Anderson leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. Are they using their anti-gravity technology to pull off those moves?" "Yes, Mom. They're calling it zero-G braking. It's becoming quite popular. But the real game changer is this." He switched to another feed, this one from a Craxi government building. A young administrative drone was standing before a council of elders, their mandibles set in a determined expression. "We demand the implementation of something called Casual Friday," the drone was saying. and we want the right to customize our workstations with these. They held up what was unmistakably a Baby Yoda bobblehead. It gets better, Foster said, unable to suppress a grin. Show them the fashion trends, Beta Team. The screen split to show multiple feeds from across Craxi space. Young Craxi were modifying their traditional exoskeletons with Earth-inspired designs. Some had painted their carapaces in tie-dye patterns. Others had somehow adapted human band t-shirts to fit their alien physiology. We've created a cultural pandemic, Anderson said, shaking her head in wonder. Their entire social structure is based on rigid efficiency and predetermined purpose. They've never had to deal with individual expression before. Or pizza, Foster added, eyeing the half-eaten slice on Anderson's desk. Speaking of which, Anderson pulled up another report. How's Operation Taste Revolution going? Better than expected. Once they discovered the concept of comfort food, everything changed. They've had nutrient paste for 10,000 years, ma'am. The introduction of flavor for flavor's sake. It's like watching a black and white movie turn to color. Anderson nodded, remembering the first time she'd seen a Craxi try ice cream. The aliens' reaction had been captured on 100 phones and had gone viral on both human and Craxi social media. Any response from their high command? Foster's expression turned serious. That's the most interesting part. Look at this. He pulled up one final feed, this one from the personal quarters of a high-ranking Craxi commander. The commander was alone, their quarters secured, but the surveillance feed showed them secretly dancing to human music while wearing what appeared to be a Hawaiian shirt modified for their exoskeleton. Even their leaders are being affected, Anderson mused. They can't stop it because they're starting to enjoy it themselves. She stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the Pentagon's courtyard, where a group of captured Craxi soldiers were teaching human Marines how to play some kind of anti-gravity sports game they'd invented. Send word to command, she said finally. Operation Culture Shock is moving to Phase 3. It's time to introduce them to something that will really blow their minds. Mom, Foster asked curiously. Anderson smiled. Weekend brunch, Lieutenant, with bottomless mimosas. Let's see how their society handles that concept. Captain David Trickster Thompson sat in the heart of the Pentagon's newly formed Mimetic Warfare Division, surrounded by what his superiors had called the most dangerous weapons in human history. A team of professional memlords, social media influencers, and viral content creators. Show me what you've got, he said to the room full of people who, until last week, had been considered professional internet time wasters. Now they were Earth's secret weapon. Kelly Chen, a TikTok star with 50 million followers, pulled up their latest creation. We call this one Craxi Goes Brr, she said, displaying a series of precisely engineered memes that had already crashed 3 alien AI systems through pure logical paradox. Their battle networks can't handle the concept of deep-fried memes, added Marcus Rodriguez, a Reddit moderator who'd been banned from 6 subreddits for excessive shitposting. Now his skills were saving the planet. They tried to find military significance in every image. Watch what happens when we send them this. The screen displayed what appeared to be a picture of a cat asking for cheeseburgers, but encoded within its pixels was a complex mimetic formula that had already convinced 2 Craxi battle groups that their ships might actually be cake. Status report on Operation Rickroll, Thompson asked, turning to Lieutenant Sarah Wong, their chief of psychological operations. Devastating success, sir, Wong reported, unable to hide her grin. 17 Craxi ships have locked their navigation systems into an infinite loop because they can't stop watching the video. They know they're being pranked, but they can't look away. Their crews keep saying, just one more time. Thompson nodded approvingly. The Craxi's fatal flaw was their need to understand everything they encountered. They couldn't simply appreciate a meme. They had to analyze it, categorize it, find its military purpose. This compulsion was breaking their minds. "Sir," called out Jake Martinez, their youngest team member, "you need to see this. The Craxi are trying to make their own memes." The main screen displayed several attempts by Craxi personnel to create human-style memes. They were horrible. They were beautiful. They were exactly what Thompson had been waiting for. "This is it," he announced, standing up. "They're not just consuming our culture anymore. They're trying to participate in it. Launch Phase 2. Across the room, his team sprang into action. They had been preparing for this moment. Within minutes, Craxi communication channels were flooded with supportive comments and gentle suggestions for improving their meme game. "Remember," Thompson called out, "we're not just winning a war here. We're teaching a species how to shitpost." The strategy was working better than anyone could have expected. Craxi ships began diverting computing power from their weapons systems to generate better memes. Young Craxi officers were secretly running meme pages. The entire invasion force was gradually being transformed into an intergalactic social media campaign. "Sir," Wong reported, "the Craxi High Command just tried to ban memes shipwide." The crew response: "Well, you should see for yourself." The screen showed thousands of Craxi personnel responding with something they'd learned from human internet culture: malicious compliance. They were following the letter of the ban while creating what they called educational infographic content that was, in fact, just memes with academic-sounding captions. "They're starting to master irony," Thompson said proudly, like a teacher watching students excel. Humanity's greatest weapon. The final blow came when a junior Craxi officer created what would later be known as the meme that ended the war. It was a simple image macro showing their own invasion fleet with the caption, "TFO, you try to conquer Earth, but end up getting conquered by their memes instead." It went viral across both human and Craxi networks. Even the Craxi High Command had to admit it was pretty good. "Send word to General Anderson," Thompson ordered, watching as the Craxi fleet's combat effectiveness dropped to 0. Due to everyone being too busy creating content. The memetic war is won. The Craxi aren't just defeated, they're subscribed to our YouTube channels. As if to prove his point, a final report came in. The Craxi Empire's official account had just posted its first cat video. It was, as the comments section quickly noted, actually pretty based. President Sarah Mitchell stood before the Galactic Assembly, her business suit a sharp contrast to the various environmental suits, crystalline forms, and exotic morphologies around her. Behind her, a holographic display showed something that had the entire assembly buzzing: a Craxi Youth Festival, where thousands of young aliens were participating in what they called a Comic-Con. "Distinguished representatives of the galaxy," she began, a slight smile playing at her lips, "we come before you not to demand reparations from the Craxi Empire, nor to seek punishment for their invasion. Instead, we have a different proposal." The Craxi representative, now wearing what appeared to be a modified Star Trek command uniform, clicked their mandibles nervously. "We propose a cultural exchange program," Mitchell continued, "the largest in galactic history." High Delegate Zixtal's crystalline form sparkled with amusement as the assembly erupted in overlapping translation signals. They had seen this coming. The Craxi Empire has already begun transforming. Mitchell gestured to the holographic displays showing Craxi cities. Where once there were only utilitarian structures, now street art brightened the walls. Public spaces had been converted into parks. Food courts served more than just nutrient paste. Their young people have discovered something their society had engineered out millennia ago: the joy of living for more than just efficiency. The display changed to show a split screen. On one side, a traditional Craxi military parade. On the other, a flash mob of young Craxi performing an elaborately choreographed dance number in the same square. "We don't want to change who the Craxi are," Mitchell explained, "but perhaps we can help them remember who they were before they decided everything needed a practical purpose." Dr. Robert Mitchell, still looking slightly rumpled, stepped forward with data from the Cultural Integration team. "We're already seeing unprecedented changes. Craxi scientists who've been exposed to human methods are making breakthrough discoveries because they're finally allowing themselves to play with their research. Their artists, previously limited to approved architectural designs, are creating works that their society has never seen before." The assembly watched in stunned silence as images showed Craxi children playing in parks, Craxi teens starting bands, and Craxi adults participating in something called Casual Friday. But most importantly, President Mitchell continued, "We've learned something too. The Craxi have shown us how to better balance our chaos with structure. Their young people are teaching us new ways to use technology. This isn't just about us changing them. It's about growing together." The display showed a final image, a human and Craxi restaurant where both species were attempting to make pizza together. It wasn't pretty, but everyone in the picture was laughing. "The galaxy expected us to respond to invasion with violence," Mitchell said, her voice carrying through the chamber. "Instead, we responded with movies, memes, and an invitation to lunch. We turned an invasion into a cultural revolution not through force, but through the simple idea that life should be more than just survival." She turned to the Craxi representative. "So what do you say? Would you like to make this cultural exchange official? We have this thing called food trucks. We think your people would love." The Craxi representative stood, their modified uniform glinting under the chamber's lights. "The Empire." They paused, then started again. "My people have voted. Through something called a social media poll, which is apparently binding now. We accept." The chamber erupted in applause, another human custom that had somehow spread through the assembly over the past few weeks. High Delegate Zixtel rose to make it official. "Let the record show that on this day, the Galactic Assembly recognizes Earth not just as a member world, but as a cultural center for the galaxy. May the stars help us all once they introduce the rest of the galaxy to something called reality television." As the assembly chambers filled with laughter, yet another human infection, President Mitchell smiled. Humanity had done more than just survive their first contact. They had shown the galaxy that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or military might, but the simple joy of doing things just because they make life more interesting. And somewhere in the Craxi Empire, a young alien was looking at their first pizza and thinking that maybe, just maybe, not everything in life needed a practical purpose.